Hello YouTube and welcome back to another Dare to Game video. Today we're playing Red Dead Online and we're doing another outfit guide. Today we're doing another historical person from the Wild West. And today we're doing Seth Bullock. Did a lot of stuff really. If you've seen the show Deadwood, he was actually in there quite a bit, so it's a pretty good show. I liked it. But we're going to be basing his outfit today mostly off of a historical photograph that I was basing it off of. But for some of it, because it was all in black and white, I'm taking some of the colors for his clothing from the show Deadwood. So it's mostly based off the historical photos that I was able to find of him, but also a little bit off the TV show just because the photos were in black and white. So unless I was going to make literally everything he was wearing black, except for the shirt, which is clearly white, then you know, you get what I'm saying. It was pretty hard to do it just off the historical stuff. So let's just talk a little bit about Seth Bullock. Seth Bullock was a Canadian-American frontiersman, business proprietor, politician, sheriff, and U.S. Marshal. He was a prominent citizen in Deadwood, South Dakota, where he lived from 1876 until his death, operating a hardware store and later a large hotel known as the Bullock Hotel. Now, there's definitely a lot to talk about with Seth Bullock, but I think the key thing that most people are interested in is his time in Deadwood, South Dakota. So Deadwood was a lawless, rowdy camp. 2 days before Bullock and Starr's arrival, Wild Bill Hickok was murdered by Jack McCall. McCall shot Hickok in the back of the head while he sat playing poker. McCall was later found not guilty by an impromptu camp court and released, after which he promptly left town. McCall was later retried, found guilty, and executed. The demand for law enforcement grew following Hickok's murder, and Bullock's background made him the logical choice for Deadwood's first sheriff. However, he was not elected to the position, but rather was appointed by then-Governor Pennington of the Dakota Territory in March of 1877. In November of 1877, a special election was held in Lawrence County, of which Deadwood was located. Bullock was the candidate for sheriff on the People's Party, which would also be known as the Republican ticket, and John J. Manning was the candidate for the Democratic Party. Manning won the election, therefore becoming the first elected sheriff of Lawrence County, of which the main city was Deadwood. Bullock's tenure as appointed sheriff lasted approximately 9 months. In 1878, Bullock again ran for sheriff of Lawrence County on the Republican ticket, and faced incumbent John Manning. As was the case in 1877, Manning won the election against Bullock and was awarded a 2-year term as sheriff. During his tenure as the appointed sheriff, Bullock took his job seriously, deputizing several residents and tackling the job of civilizing the camp. Despite, or perhaps because of, a reputation for fearlessness and an uncompromising nature, Bullock managed the task without killing anyone. Bullock had several run-ins with Al Swearingen, proprietor of the notorious Gem Theater, Deadwood's most notable brothel. Swearingen had a knack for making money from vice and shrewdly invested some of his profits in cultivating alliances with the camp's wealthy and powerful. Bullock was appointed marshal in 1905 by President Theodore Roosevelt, and again in 1909 by President William Howard Taft. When appointed sheriff, one of Bullock's first duties was to confront Dodge City Deputy Marshal Wyatt Earp, who was possibly interested in the sheriff's job. Bullock told Earp that his services were not needed. A week later, Earp left Deadwood to return to Dodge City. Having attained some stability in Deadwood, Bullock brought his wife Martha Eccles Bullock and daughter Margaret to town from their parents' home in Michigan, where they had been living during this period. They subsequently had another daughter, Florence, and a son, Stanley. Bullock and Starr purchased a ranch where Redwater Creek met the Belle Fourche River, and dubbed it the S&B Ranch Company. Bullock is also credited with introducing alfalfa farming to South Dakota in 1881. Later, he became a deputy U.S. Marshal, partnered with Starr and Harris Franklin in the Deadwood Flouring Mill, and invested in mining, the local growth industry. Bullock and Starr eventually expanded their business interests to the towns of Spearfish, Sturgis, and Custer. Bullock, then a deputy sheriff from Medora, North Dakota, met Theodore Roosevelt in 1884 while bringing a horse thief known as Crazy Steve into custody on the range, near what would become the town of Belle Fourche. The two became lifelong friends. Roosevelt later saying of Bullock, "Seth Bullock is a true Westerner, the finest type of frontiersman." So that's really all I wanted to talk about as far as Seth Bullock goes. Really just his time in Deadwood, South Dakota, because it's arguably the most famous time in his life. So, like always, we're going to be trying to imitate his look and weapons as best we can, and like I said, through the historical framework. because that's just the most interesting. So let's start off with guns. So it was pretty hard to find any information about guns for Seth Bullock, but I was able to find a little bit that the researchers used for the show Deadwood. So in that show, he's represented as using a Remington 1875. And based on the research I was able to do, I think that it is most likely accurate that for his time in Deadwood till probably the end of his life, he did carry a Remington 1875. Now, we don't have a Remington 1875 in the game, much to my pity. I definitely wish we did because it's one of my favorite guns of the Wild West. But what we do have is the Cattleman Revolver, which is a Colt single-action army revolver, which is very comparable technologically speaking and release date speaking. The Colt single-action army started becoming widespread in 1872, and of course the Remington 1875 would only be a few years later in 1875. So if a Remington 1875 was not available, I assume Seth Bullock would be using a Colt single-action army. And the one that he uses in Deadwood has color case hardening for most of the frame and then blued steel for the rest. I think the best way to imitate that appearance is to use the ironwood grips and put the mahogany finish on it, give it a short barrel, and then just all black and steel for the look. I think it looks the most like the one that is most closely associated with him, just based on popular media. I couldn't find a single photograph of him clearly holding a firearm when I was doing this research, so clearly it wasn't something that was hugely important to him, but like I said, he liked to stay on the technologically advanced side of firearms, so that's why I went with the Colt single-action army, it being arguably the most advanced weapon in the game other than the pistols, because most of the other ones are very old by the time that Seth Bullock would have been in South Dakota. So that is the handgun I went with. That's the only gun we're going to be talking about today because, just ironically, not a lot of guns famously associated with this famous lawman. So that's the gun. So here we have my best attempt at recreating Seth Bullock, mostly historical, but with a little inspiration from the TV show to tell me what colors to use. So for starting off with hair, this was all based off the historical stuff. He seemed to have black hair, and he wore it slicked back, at least in the photograph that I was able to find of him. So we went with a nice, short, slick, black hairstyle for him. Pretty simple. And then for the facial hair, he's pretty famous for having a great big archway looking mustache like this, so that's why I went with that, and again I stuck with black. Now if you wanted to imitate him in his later life, it would probably be better to use gray, but I didn't, so that's why I went with black. So that's the hair and facial hair. Now the hat was arguably the most difficult part of this outfit, just because the hat that he wears in the only photograph I was able to find him, like a clear photograph of him wearing a hat, he just wears a silly looking hat. It has a pretty small brim that goes around it, it's not super even, and then it's got kind of a tall top part that sticks up really funny. It was not something that I could imitate in the game. There aren't any hats that look like that in the game. But this one, I guess, is probably the closest looking hat, so that's why I went with the black variant of the Kerrigan hat. So like I said, it's not absolutely perfect, and again, I probably could have used one of the hats he wears in Deadwood, but I wanted to keep it historical, and so that's why I used this hat, because it's from a picture of him in 1893, where it looks pretty dang similar to this. So that's the hat I used. Then for the coats, this was another area that was not super easy, but he does, in most of the pictures I was able to find, wear what looks like a knee or just slightly above the knee length frock coat, and it's black, so I went with the black classic frock coat. There was a couple other ones, the worsted jacket, the Antoine coat, a couple things where it was pretty similar, but I think honestly the classic frock coat looks the best. So the black variant of the classic frock coat is the jacket I went with. For the vest, I went with the black Richfield vest because most of the ones photos I was able to find showed a vest roughly this style with 2 rows of buttons on it, and I couldn't tell if it had stripes or anything, so I just went with the plain black vest because I'm pretty sure that's what it looks like in the photographs. So that's the vest. Then for the shirt, there's basically 2 ways to go. I went with this one to add a little bit more color to the outfit because in the show Deadwood, he wears a blue striped shirt with a white collar. Now obviously I couldn't do that, but this is the style of collar that he had in the show, where it comes up, stands up straight, and then just kind of folds down a little bit in front by the chin. It wasn't a full folded collar, so that's why I went with the blue French dress shirt. The other way to go is just the white everyday shirt, because in the photographs that I was basing it off of, most of them appeared to just be a plain white dress shirt with a collar that folded down and a tie. So you could either go with the white shirt and the tie, or do like I did here and go with the blue shirt, which looks more like it does in the TV show Deadwood. Like I said, it was just a choice that I made to add a little bit more color to this outfit, so that's why I went with this one. one. For the weapon equipment, I went with the brown gunslinger gun belt, and the reason I did that is because the belt that he appears to wear in the historical photograph that I was basing this off of, it was a pretty plain looking belt. It didn't appear to have any bullets on it. It looked smooth like this, and it appeared to be a lighter but still pretty dark brown. So that's why I went with this gun belt, and he appeared to only use one holster, so I did not put an offhand holster on it. So that's the gun belt. Then for the pants, I went with the cuffed town pants, and I did this gray pinstriped variant because, again, I was basing it off of a historical photograph, and this looks almost exactly like the pants he was wearing. In fact, I think they were even cuffed. So that's why I went with these pants. Okay, so for the boots, I wasn't 100% sure what to do because most of the photographs I found obviously did not include his boots, and then I looked at what he looked like in Deadwood, and his boots looked kind of grayish and plain. So the best ones I could find to match that were the Rutherford boots, and I went with this gray variant, and I have them tucked into the pants because that appears to be how he wears his boots, not only in the TV show Deadwood, but also in any historical sources I was able to find. So that's why I went with this. Like I said, the gray boots look a little funny in my opinion, especially with the gray pants, but it appears to be what he wore, so that's why I went with them. And then I couldn't find any pictures or anything where it showed any spurs that he wore, either in the TV show or in real life, so I just didn't include any. But on the whole, that is what the outfit that I put together for Seth Bullock looks like. I think it looks pretty dang good. Like I said, the hat's a little funny, I guess, but I think it kind of fits with the outfit. If you wanted to go the more historical route to try to match the picture that I was basing this off of exactly, then a white everyday shirt with a lighter colored plain dress tie would be the best way to go. But I think this has a more unique feel to it and looks more like he does in Deadwood, for the shirt at least. So that is my Seth Bullock outfit. But that's where we're going to end it for today. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're a fan of historical people from the Wild West like I am, that this got your fix in. The last time I did a video like this, it was for Wild Bill Hickok, who got mentioned in this video because he died in Deadwood, South Dakota before Seth Bullock took over there. So it's an interesting link. I thought it would be an interesting next step in my historical Wild West series. But like I said, if you enjoyed this video, definitely leave a like rating to show me and everyone else on YouTube that you did, and it's well worth watching. If you have any comments or questions, concerns, things you think I could have done better with this outfit, or more importantly, requests for anything that you'd like to see in the future, definitely visit the comment section down below and let me know about those requests or whatever, because I like to try basically anything. I will always try to recreate or create any of the outfits that people ask for. I just won't necessarily make a video for them if they don't look very good. But yeah, that's all for comments. So lastly, I'd like to talk about subscriptions. If you haven't already and you like my content, I definitely ask, please subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications for 2 reasons. The first one being, obviously, if you like the content, then why not subscribe and check it out every day? Because I release content like this pretty frequently for this game and other games that are quite similar to it. So if you like this, there's a good chance you're going to like that. And the other reason to subscribe is because I have a subscriber goal that you will be helping me achieve. And that goal is 30,000 subscribers at or before the beginning of September, and ultimately 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. If we can reach that, that would be excellent, and I'll do something crazy. I don't know what that crazy thing is. Probably eat a turkey club or something crazy like that. But with all that in mind, thanks for watching and have a nice day, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching another Dare to Game video. If you liked this video, please leave a like and a comment. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you like my content and would like to support this channel, consider becoming a member today for as little as $1.99 a month. It makes a huge difference. But in any case, thanks for watching and have a nice day. I'll see you next time.